Welcome to Learn English Speaking. Let's Talk Stories. Here we bring you amazing stories to improve your English fluency. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting lessons. Let's learn together.
Chapter 6. Nicholas Fights Back. Nicholas's anger was greater than his pain, and he threw himself at Sir Mulberry.
When Nicholas received Newman's letter, he and Smike returned to London immediately. They went straight to Newman's lodgings, but the clerk was not at home. Nicholas left Smike to wait for him, and went to see Miss La Creevy, who was not at home either. After thinking for a moment, he decided to see his mother. A servant girl told him that Mrs. Nickleby was at the theatre for the evening. She also told him that his sister now lived at a different address. Nicholas walked anxiously along the streets, wondering what to do. Feeling hungry, he stopped outside a handsome hotel. An expensive place, he thought, but a glass of wine and a piece of cake will not cost too much. He went into the hotel and entered the coffee room. It was empty except for a noisy group of 4 gentlemen at one table. Nicholas sat down at a table near the fire, ordered some wine and cake, and began to read a newspaper. Suddenly, he heard one of the men at the other table say his sister's name, and looked up from his paper with surprise.
"Little Kate Nickleby,"
the other 3 men said, lifting their glasses. The 4 men drank their wine, put their empty glasses on the table, and started laughing. Nicholas's face burned with anger, but he did not move.
"She's a clever little thing," the first man said. "She pretends that she doesn't like me, but she's only playing a game. She's like her uncle." "Perhaps her mother is jealous," another man said. "She's locked her daughter up, that's why you can't see her." "That's no problem," the first man said. "I can do anything with the old lady. She'll believe anything I tell her." The 4 men started laughing again. Nicholas rose angrily and walked across to their table. "I'd like to speak to you, sir," he said, staring at the man who had spoken last. "With me, sir?" Sir Mulberry Hawk replied, looking at Nicholas with drunken scorn. "With you, sir, in private," Nicholas replied quietly. "A mysterious stranger," Sir Mulberry laughed, lifting his wine-glass to his thick, ugly lips and looking round at his friends. "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Nicholas said. "Tell me what you want, or go away," Sir Mulberry answered, drinking more wine. Nicholas took a card from his pocket and threw it on the table. "There, sir," he said. "You will know what I want when you see my name." Sir Mulberry read the name on the card, threw it back onto the table, and continued drinking. "Your name and address, sir," Nicholas said quietly, shaking with anger. "I shall give you neither," replied Sir Mulberry. "If you are not a gentleman, sir, perhaps one of your friends is. Can anybody give me this man's name and address?" There was silence around the table. "I am the brother of the young lady who has been the subject of conversation at this table," Nicholas said. "This man is a lying coward. If no one will tell me his name or address, I can easily discover it." Sir Mulberry looked at Nicholas with scorn, then said to his friends, "Let him talk until midnight if he wants. I have nothing serious to say to a boy of his low class."
The four men continued laughing and drinking, so Nicholas returned to his table and waited. Eventually, 3 of the men went home, leaving Sir Mulberry alone in the room with Nicholas. Sir Mulberry sat in silence, staring at the wall with drunken, empty eyes. Nicholas watched and waited, but said nothing. At last Sir Mulberry gave Nicholas another long, scornful look, and rose slowly to his feet. With the waiter's help, he put on his gloves, hat, and coat. Then he walked outside. Nicholas followed him into the street. "Will you tell me who you are?" he said again.
No.
"I shall hold on to your carriage if you don't tell me."
I shall tell my driver to hit you if you do.
"You're an evil man."
And what are you?
"I'm the son of a country gentleman," Nicholas replied. "I'm the same as you in birth and background, and better than you in everything else. I tell you again, Miss Nickleby is my sister. Will you or will you not tell me who you are?"
I'd tell a real gentleman, but not a boy like you. Get out of my way, dog!
Sir Mulberry pushed him to one side and got into his carriage. Nicholas jumped forward and put his hands on the door. "I will not let you leave until you—" Before he could finish his sentence, Sir Mulberry lifted his stick and hit him hard on the side of the head. Nicholas's anger was greater than his pain, and he threw himself at Sir Mulberry. In the fight that followed, he managed to take hold of the stick and hit Sir Mulberry across the face with its heavy handle. Sir Mulberry fell back into the carriage, and Nicholas fell to the ground. Frightened by the fighting, the horse ran off wildly down the street, pulling the carriage behind it. Nicholas felt sick, but he rose painfully to his feet. There was loud shouting all around him as the driver and other men ran after the carriage. As soon as the carriage disappeared around a corner, there was a loud crash, a scream, and the sound of breaking glass. When Nicholas arrived back at the lodgings, he found Newman Noggs sitting by the fire with Smike.
"What have you been doing?"
Newman asked when he saw Nicholas's blood-covered face. "Don't worry about me," Nicholas replied. "I'm not badly hurt. But I want you to tell me about my sister. I've learnt part of the story tonight. You must tell me the rest." Newman made Nicholas take off his coat and wash the blood from his face. While he was doing this, he told him everything about his uncle, Sir Mulberry Hawk, and his sister. Nicholas listened in silence, then told Newman about his fight earlier that evening.
"I'm sure that was Sir Mulberry,"
Newman said. "Tomorrow morning we must find another place for my mother to live," Nicholas replied. "Could you send Miss La Creevy to tell her? Please don't say anything about what happened tonight. I also want you to deliver a short letter to my uncle." Early the next morning, Nicholas went to see his sister at Mrs. Wititterly's house. Brother and sister immediately fell into each other's arms. "I've been so unhappy, dear brother," Kate cried. "Don't leave me here, or I shall die of a broken heart." "I'll never leave you anywhere again," Nicholas promised. Apologizing quickly to the Wititterlys, he hurried with his sister to their mother's house by the river. "Miss La Creevy has told me everything," Mrs. Nickleby sighed when they arrived. "But I still don't understand. Is Sir Mulberry such a bad man? Why don't you speak to your uncle? Perhaps there has been some mistake." "My dear mother," Nicholas replied, "the time for talking has gone." After the terrible things that he has done, you must throw him out of your life. We do not owe him anything except our scorn. You must leave this house at once. We can stay in our old place at Miss La Creevy's until I can make other arrangements." "Everything is ready for you," Miss La Creevy said. "You'll all be very welcome." "But I've just spent 18 pence on painting the ceiling," Mrs. Nickleby complained, and started crying. While Miss La Creevy looked after their mother, Nicholas and Kate carried the furniture into a waiting cart. After the three women had finally left, Nicholas hurried to meet Newman. He gave him a letter for his uncle and the key to the house. "When you see my mother and sister at Miss La Creevy's, don't say anything about last night," he reminded him. Newman took the letter and key and gave them to Ralph in his office. "What's this?" Ralph said, picking up the key. "It came with the letter. A boy brought them a quarter of an hour ago," Newman lied. Ralph opened the letter and read, "I know all about you and your evil plans. Your brother's widow and her daughter refuse any more of your help. They hate you as much as I do. I hope that on your deathbed you will feel ashamed of yourself." Ralph Nickleby read the letter twice, then dropped it to the floor. He sat quietly at his desk, staring angrily at the wall. He did not notice the small smile on his old clerk's lips.
Chapter 4. Return to London. "Will you, sir, return that boy to the school where he belongs?" "I will not."
Newman Noggs had lodgings at the top of a house near Golden Square. Arriving home from work one night, he saw two tired, wet travellers waiting patiently outside his door. He invited them straight in and gave them some hot soup and some dry clothes. "I read your letter," Nicholas explained as the three of them sat around the fire. "I got your address from the Crown Hotel, as you suggested. Tell me, how are my mother and sister?" "Well, your uncle is letting them live in an empty old house that belongs to him. It's near the river, and it was in a terrible condition when they first moved in. It was smelly and dirty, with rats everywhere." A strange expression crossed his face when he said this. Nicholas did not know whether Newman felt amused or sickened. "But your mother and sister have cleaned a couple of rooms and made them quite comfortable," Newman continued, noticing the anxious look on Nicholas's face. "And they don't have to pay any rent." Nicholas looked relieved. "I wanted to come here before visiting them," he explained. "I didn't want to cause them any unnecessary problems." He then described his recent adventures at Dotheboys Hall. When he had finished, Newman looked at him seriously. "My dear young man," he said, "you'll never make progress in the world if you behave like that. But I'm proud of you." "Has my uncle heard about it yet?" Nicholas asked. Newman opened and shut his mouth several times, but did not say anything. "I must know the bad news sooner or later," Nicholas said. "Please tell me now." Newman rose from his chair and took a piece of paper from a drawer. It was a copy of a letter which Ralph had received from Fanny Squeers 2 days earlier. In it, she described how Nicholas had attacked her father, stolen a valuable ring, and run away with Smike. An evil, ungrateful boy. She's lying, Nicholas said angrily. I must find my uncle and tell him what really happened. Your uncle's out of town, Newman replied. He won't be back for 3 days. He won't answer this letter before he returns. Don't worry. Nobody else knows about it. Are you sure? Not even my mother and sister? Then I must go and see them. No, you mustn't, Newman said. Speak to your uncle when he returns. The next day, Nicholas found small, cheap lodgings for himself and Smike, and immediately started looking for a job. He went to a small but busy job agency near Oxford Street in the centre of London, where he was offered work as a French teacher for the daughters of a local businessman. Nicholas accepted the job happily. As he was walking out, a girl of about 18 years old came in from the street. He stood to one side as she shyly walked past him. She was so beautiful that he stood and watched her for a long time. He had never seen such a lovely, innocent face, although there was something sad about her soft blue eyes. Eventually, he turned away and walked home, unable to stop thinking about her. 2 days later, Nicholas went to visit his uncle, who had just returned to London. His uncle was not at home, so he went instead to see Miss La Creevy. "Mr. Nicholas!" Miss La Creevy cried happily when she saw him at her door. "Come in. You must join me for breakfast. You look so thin, and your face is so pale." While they were having breakfast, Miss La Creevy asked him why he had returned to London. Nicholas explained to her what had happened. Then he said, "I came here because I want to see my uncle. I have to persuade him that I'm not a thief. I went to his house this morning, but he wasn't at home. I must see him before he tells my mother and sister these lies about me. Perhaps you can help me." "How can I do that?" Miss La Creevy asked, looking worried. "My mother and sister don't know that I've returned from Yorkshire. Could you show me where they live? I want to see them before my uncle does." Miss La Creevy took him straight to the house by the river, and Nicholas was shocked when he saw it. Its windows were covered with mud, and its walls were wet and dirty. It had probably been empty for many years. Miss La Creevy led him through the door, across a dark, smelly hall, and up some stairs. She stopped outside a freshly painted door. "This is it," she said. "Your mother and I have worked very hard to make this as comfortable as possible." However, as she was going to knock on the door, she stopped. There was the sound of a man's deep voice from inside the room. Ralph Nickleby had arrived before them. He was telling Mrs. Nickleby and Kate about Nicholas, and they were both crying. "It's impossible," Kate said. "Nicholas isn't a thief. Mother, how can you sit and listen to such things?" Mrs. Nickleby, who had never been very good at understanding situations, just cried even more loudly into her handkerchief.
"If my nephew's innocent, why is he hiding from us?" Ralph said. "I'm afraid you must both accept the fact that he's a dangerous criminal."
"That's a lie!" an angry voice shouted, and Nicholas rushed in. Ralph turned and stared angrily at his nephew. "Dear Nicholas," Kate cried, throwing her arms around her brother. "Be calm. Don't do anything foolish." "Be calm," Nicholas replied, his face red with anger. "How can I be calm in front of this man? He sent me to an evil place to work for the cruelest man that I've ever known. and now he's poisoning the ears of my family against me. Be patient, Kate begged him. Calm down. Tell us what really happened. It's true that I attacked the schoolmaster, Nicholas said. But I did it to save a poor innocent boy from certain death. I'm not sorry. I'd do the same again if I had the chance.
Do you hear this?
Ralph said, turning to Mrs. Nickleby.
Your son isn't even sorry.
Oh, dear, cried Mrs. Nickleby. I don't know what to think. But I'm not a thief, Nicholas continued, staring proudly at his uncle. I found a ring in my pocket after I'd left that horrible school. It was a cheap ring. I believe that Mrs. Squeers put it there to make me look like a thief. I sent it back to the school immediately. And what about the boy Smike? Kate asked. Is it true that you ran away with him? Yes. He's the boy that I saved from the schoolmaster. He's suffered years of cruel treatment at that school. He wanted to come with me, and he's with me now.
So, everything is true, Ralph said. You don't deny it. Will you, sir, return that boy to the school where he belongs?
I will not.
You refuse? Said Ralph. Then you must listen to me.
Why? I will not listen to any more of your lies.
Then I will speak to your mother. She understands the real world. Mom, I tried to help you by finding your son honest work, but he is a lazy, selfish, ungrateful boy. I will not help him, or you, if he stays with you. If that boy stays, I will leave you now. You will never see me again.
You've been kind to us, sir, Mrs. Nickleby replied from behind her handkerchief. But I can't send my own son away, even if he is guilty of these terrible crimes. Why do you say if, mother? Kate asked. You know he's innocent. I don't know what to think, Mrs. Nickleby replied. Nicholas is sometimes very bad-tempered, and your uncle has been so good to us. But let's not talk about it any more. I can't send my own son away, even if it means that we don't have a penny in the world. Ralph turned towards the door, but Nicholas stopped him. You needn't leave this place, sir, he said. I'll go, and you won't see me for a very long time. Nicholas, Kate said, throwing her arms again around her brother. You can't go. You'll break my heart if you do. I have to, Nicholas replied gently. If I stay, I'll only bring you unhappiness. We won't forget each other, I promise, and I'm sure that better days will come. He kissed his sister gently, then turned again to his uncle. I leave my family to you, sir, he whispered. But I promise, if anything bad happens to them, you'll be punished. Nicholas left the room without another word, and, a few days later, he and Smike left London.
Chapter 5. Sir Mulberry Hawk. "Let me go immediately, sir," Kate whispered angrily. "My dear girl, why do you pretend to dislike me so much?"
Soon after Nicholas had left London, Kate lost her job at the dressmaker's. Her mother looked through the newspapers and quickly found an interesting advertisement. A woman called Mrs. Wititterly was looking for a companion. Although Kate did not really want the job, she was too tired and upset by recent events to argue. She went with her mother for an interview with Mrs. Wititterly. Mrs. Wititterly, a nervous, ill-looking woman, lived in a large house near Sloane Square, a very expensive part of London. Kate's gentleness and intelligence pleased her, and she offered Kate the job as her companion. Mrs. Nickleby was very excited. "Mrs. Wititterly looks very ill," she thought. "Perhaps she'll die soon, and Mr. Wititterly, a fine-looking gentleman, will fall in love with Kate. He'll ask her to marry him, and all our troubles will end." A week after the interview, Kate moved all her things to Mrs. Wititterly's house and started work. Ralph Nickleby had a very important business customer, Sir Mulberry Hawk, an ugly old man with lots of money, who had met Kate once at dinner at Ralph's house. Unfortunately for Kate, this horrible old man had liked her a lot. He had sat next to her at dinner and had embarrassed her all evening with his rude jokes and horrible wet-lipped smiles. She had been so upset by his impolite behaviour that she had left the table. After dinner, Sir Mulberry had told Ralph that he wanted to meet Kate again. He asked Ralph to help him, and Ralph agreed immediately, thinking that this would be good for his business. He arranged for Sir Mulberry to meet Mrs. Nickleby at his office. Mrs. Nickleby liked Sir Mulberry because he said so many nice things about her and her daughter.
"Such a beautiful, intelligent girl," he said. "But I'm not surprised. She has such a beautiful, intelligent mother."
Mrs. Nickleby smiled proudly and let Sir Mulberry walk home with her. When he had said good-bye, she closed her eyes with excitement. "I don't believe it," she thought. "Such a fine gentleman. He will be an even better husband for Kate than Mr. Wititterly." One evening, Sir Mulberry invited Mrs. Nickleby to the theatre with him. She put on her best clothes and sat with him in the most expensive seats. Sir Mulberry was a drunk, but Mrs. Nickleby did not care. She felt proud to be with such a well-dressed gentleman, especially as he was so interested in her daughter. He was telling her for the 20th time how beautiful Kate was, when suddenly he stopped.
"Listen," he said. "Some people have come into the next seats. I'm sure I recognize one of the voices."
Mrs. Nickleby listened and opened her mouth with surprise. She bent forwards and looked around the curtain between the seats. "Kate!" she said. "What a lovely surprise!" "Mother," Kate replied, equally surprised, "what are you doing here?" Then she noticed a man sitting in the shadows behind her mother. He was smiling at Kate and kissing the back of his hand. "Who is that man with you?" Kate whispered. "You'll never guess," replied Mrs. Nickleby loudly, so that Mrs. Wititterly could hear. "This is Sir Mulberry Hawk." Kate remembered the horrible old man from her uncle's dinner party, and her face went pale. However, Mrs. Nickleby mistook the strange look on her daughter's face for shyness, the shyness of love. Mrs. Wititterly was as excited as Mrs. Nickleby, because Sir Mulberry Hawk was such an important gentleman. She told her husband to invite Sir Mulberry and Mrs. Nickleby to sit with them. "Dear Kate," said Mrs. Nickleby, kissing her daughter, "how ill you looked a moment ago. You frightened me." "It was nothing, Mother," Kate replied, but it was too late to explain her true feelings to her. She greeted Sir Mulberry politely, then turned her head towards the stage. Sir Mulberry sat behind her all evening, and she could not enjoy the play. When the play had finished, Sir Mulberry took her arm. Kate tried to escape and walk away, but Sir Mulberry pulled her back.
"Don't hurry," he said.
"Let me go immediately, sir," Kate whispered angrily.
"My dear girl, why do you pretend to dislike me so much?"
"Pretend?" Kate repeated. "How impolite of you, sir, to talk to me in this way."
"You look prettier when you're angry," Sir Mulberry said, moving his face closer to hers.
"I hate you, sir," Kate said, pulling back from him. "You show scorn for my feelings. If you do not let me join my friends immediately, you'll be sorry. I can be rude, too. I know how to embarrass a man like you in public." Sir Mulberry smiled, but did not let go of her arm. When they had reached the front of the theatre, Kate pulled away from him angrily. She hurried past her mother and the Wittitterlys without a word. Then she jumped into the waiting carriage, threw herself into the darkest corner, and cried. The next day, Kate received a long letter from her mother, congratulating her on her choice of future husband. Kate felt more upset than ever, but she had to try to forget her unhappiness. Her job was to be cheerful with Mrs. Wittitterly. That afternoon, while she was reading to her employer, there was a knock on the door.
"That's Sir Mulberry Hawk,"
Mrs. Wittitterly smiled from her sofa.
"I gave him permission to visit. Aren't you pleased?"
Before Kate could answer, the door opened, and Sir Mulberry walked into the room. He sat with the two ladies for over an hour. Mr. Wittitterly sat with them too, enjoying the visit of such an important guest. But Kate refused to be friendly. Sir Mulberry seemed to find Kate's unfriendliness attractive, and he visited the house every day for the next 2 weeks. However, as his feelings for Kate became clearer, there was a change in Mrs. Wittitterly's behaviour. Jealous of the attention that he gave to Kate, she became less friendly towards her. Poor Kate had never been so sad. She already had to suffer Sir Mulberry Hawk's visits every afternoon. Now she had to suffer Mrs. Wittitterly's increasing coldness towards her, too. Eventually the two women had a big argument, and Kate hurried to her uncle's house. Ralph Nickleby was counting money in his office when his niece arrived. He quickly hid the money, put an empty purse on his desk, and told Newman Noggs to show her in.
"Well, my dear, what's the matter now?" he asked.
Her eyes shone with anger as she told him about Sir Mulberry. "He's such a rude, unpleasant man," she said. "Mother thinks that he's a gentleman, but she's wrong. Why did you allow him to meet me in this way?" Something about her proud expression reminded Ralph of Nicholas.
"There is some of that boy's blood in you, I see," he said.
"I hope there is," replied Kate, "and I'm proud of it. As I am your brother's child, I will not accept these insults any more."
"What insults, girl?"
"That man treats me like a toy. Uncle, you have to stop him. I'm sure that you will help me. I have no one to advise me or protect me except for you. Please help me."
"How can I help you, child?"
Ralph said, rising from his chair and walking up and down behind his desk. "Tell him to leave me alone."
"No."
Ralph shook his head.
"I can't do that."
Kate looked at him in surprise.
"He's an important customer. I can't afford to offend him." You'll have to live with it. He'll soon get bored with you. Just be patient.
Patient? Kate cried. I'd rather live on the street than have to see that man again. Before Ralph could say another word, she left the room. As she was closing the door behind her, she was surprised to find Newman Noggs standing in the hall.
I heard everything, he said. You're right to be strong in front of him. Oh, yes, ha, ha, ha. Oh, yes, you poor thing.
He walked slowly across the hall and opened the door to let her out into the street.
Don't be sad, he whispered. I shall see you soon. Ha, ha, ha. And so will somebody else. Yes, yes.
Thank you, Kate answered, hurrying past him. You're very kind. She walked quickly back to Mrs. Wititterly's house, trying to understand Newman's strange words. She did not know that Newman had received a letter from Nicholas. Her brother and Smike were working for a small theatre company in the south of England. Newman knew Nicholas's address and planned to write to him about Kate's problems as soon as he could.